that today the world has grown into just two genders, and we don't know what it is. And probably there could be an it. We look at it way ahead.
I think there's a lot of conversation around men and women, and I think Apurva alluded to this. I started my career at McKinsey, which is, I think, an organization that talks not about men and women, but about diversity as a broader context. So whether it is, people recruited out of their MBAs, or people who are doctors, or people who are lawyers, while the profession may seem like a business one, whether you are an artist, or whether you are a lawyer, or whether you are a doctor, there's so much that a combination of different perspectives can bring, both in terms of knowledge and in terms of problem solving, that we really need to harness that. And that organization in particular, whether it is for women or whether it is for people of different backgrounds, there is a lot of support that you do to nurture them into, sort of the broader workplace. So whether it is, work 4 days a week and work 1 day from home for women, or whether it is extra business training for doctors, there's a lot that can be done from an organization's perspective to integrate any kind of diversity into, a corporate setup.
No, absolutely. In fact, that answers your question that why are women at middle manager level leaving? And why do you see maybe 30% women at the beginning of the career, but as they grow up, there are hardly 3%. So I think that's really about how we as women leaders today, what are we doing to transform the environment around us? It is a fact. We may say, where women have to be as hardworking and as competitive and as aggressive as men. The fact is that when they have children or when the husband gets transferred, the man is not going to sit home and do breastfeeding. No? It is the woman who has to be at home. So it is a fact. Then how does an organization deal with it? What can we do? Are we ready and able and willing to provide flexi timing, give time off during the 2 breaks, expecting that when they come back that they will put in the 120%? Are we creating those kind of, recognizing that this is a fact that women will go through? Are we doing enough of that?
And a lot of it is not. When we talk about this, people make it out to be, you have to do very landmark things. A lot of it is organizations doing very small things. I was an intern at Microsoft, and one of the things they had, was feeding rooms, so that, women could bring their babies and the babies could visit, and, you could do little things like that, or resting rooms, because, women work till, the 7th or 8th month of their pregnancy there as coders, so women could take a periodic rest, and no one would feel bad about it or look at you, oh, you're doing this, what's going on? So it's a little bit about these small things that an organization can do rather than making landmark changes.
Absolutely, and it's not all the time. It's just there are only 2 or 3 times in a woman's career that an organization requires to intervene. Right. And if they do it successfully and do it well, you will have a loyal employee for 20, 30 years.
So that's an interesting trend that's emerging. A lot of companies like an IBM and L'Oreal have this policy called the Bring Her Back policy, where they give women a second chance at their careers. So that is, of course, one opportunity that we can look to going forward. But let's also talk about the portrayal of women in media and civil society. That's the question that I want to ask you, Apurva, because, we obviously need to change the age-old mindset that we have. A lot of it still goes on in the Saas Bahu serials. Do you think that needs a serious tweaking, because we do have a lot of orthodox views still in society?
I used to run Zee TV for a long time, and I started the serial called Astitva, which was showing this woman in a very progressive role where she was a doctor and she marries a younger male, and then how she's the strong person of the family and she's got all the correct value systems. It had a TRP, which is the rating system to measure viewership, of 2, versus Kyunki Saas had a rating of 20. So the question to ask, the question to ask is, we must first recognize that there are 2-3 roles media plays. One role that media plays is of sheer entertainment. Now, if entertainment is people getting excited by watching Kyunki Saas and not getting excited by watching this Astitva kind of a serial, so be it. I think women and audiences are intelligent enough to be able to discern it. Where I have an objection is in the more serious media, which is, let's say, the news channels, or if the portrayal of women is wrong or incorrect. But again, I think that's subjective. You see the dirty picture today. Are you going to turn around and say Vidya Balan's portrayal of that particular character is going to now either influence people to behave in a certain manner or change their opinion of other women? I think we are giving too much credence to media.
Can I
go back to, sorry, I always just want to go back to childhood in the sense that as mothers or fathers, we start hardwiring our kids from the time they're born. So we read to them Cinderella, where there's a wicked stepmother. And there's constant wicked stepmothers, and that's what actually gets hardwired, and therefore we still are hanging on to and wanting that concept.
True. My son is now 18, but when he was 8, he told me, "Mummy, I want to marry a woman exactly like you." You know, that time they're in love with their mothers. I want to marry a woman exactly like you, but she must have long hair. So I'm thinking that long hair, I mean, I've never had, nobody in our family, none of the women have long hair. Then you realize it's hard, you know, they see all the clinic ads and all that, and beautiful women with long hair, and they are getting hardwired. So yes, there is certain kind of subconscious influencing that is happening, that this is an ideal woman.
And some of it's real. I mean, we had a teen Barbie that came out in 1992 or something, and now all she could say is math is hard. But math is hard. Math is actually harder for women than it is for men. So,
and it is. I think in India, I think it is a little more pronounced. You know, as a younger woman, I mean, one of the things that I'm fortunate my parents didn't do this, is, you know, you have to get married. You know, marriage is a very, very, very big thing in our culture, and it's something that most women are brought up with. Oh, it's, you know, I went to school abroad, and, you know, some people used to joke that you used to go to an Ivy League school, half the women were there to find good husbands. Now, you know, that's a value that you can't be brought up with, because it's the same women who are watching Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, and the same women who are watching Astitva. So if you're taught all your life that marriage is the be-all and end-all of your life, and there's not much else.
So my answer is that it is not so much media's representation, which is, it is actually our own
perception.
Absolutely, it's our own
upbringing, our own, you know, maybe society, which is, and I'm from IIM, and it was called Indian Institute of Marriage, because I mean there were like 10 women and 120 men, and typically many of the women got married with their batchmates, but it was.
So of course, a lot of orthodox views need to be changed, and then, of course, when it comes to what's being portrayed in the media, there needs to be a line between entertainment and what the society really understands it to be.
Yes.
But let's also focus on, leadership and transforming women into stronger leaders. When it comes to the roadblocks, preventing the development of such things, what can companies really do to instill efficient elements of leadership for future competitiveness?
I think what happens is it starts right at the recruitment process in an organization. It probably, you kind of first be very, very professional and draw down the attributes that you're actually looking at for a person. So it starts with that, and then it depends on how you actually look at long-term perspectives, because many of the times you look at immediate fitment in terms of, let's say, you look at a person who's already got some experience in the similar industry, so you feel it's like a vending machine that you hire the X person and he brings in the business immediately. But I think when you look at a proper attribute and you put it down properly and you say that this is how we're looking at it long term, so that you don't have additional costs which come in later on, like replacements, training, and the settlement in the settling down in the organization, then I think if you really go to see, you tend to find women scoring much higher. So this is the way you start transforming things in an organization in a very subtle way, very acceptable manner, and something which is long-lasting. And I have seen that typically a lot of analysis roles, or if you're looking at certain financial functions or customer servicing, there's definitely that edge which women do have. And if you